I don't know if you've seen the video of the kidnapping of Rumeysa Öztürk with some of the officers being masked and you can't really see them, and then they just sort of like encircled her, and it's terrifying. And I think that is the point, to like instill fear in people, to be like, this can happen to you, and they can come at any time and they can take you. And yeah, like countries use deportation as a weapon of control. And on some level, like, I get it. Maybe someone is a tourist and they do like some shady shit, that maybe we like, okay, we will not spend resources to like rehabilitate them because, they're only visiting anyway. But if someone is living there, whether on a student visa or whatever, but if they're living there long term, like maybe deportation should not be the first course of action, And this reminds me of, I don't know if you remember Simon Momo. He's like this Nigerian guy 4 or 5 years ago who was arrested for drunk driving. And then he was also going to be deported. And this was like a man who had like a family in Malaysia. He has 2 kids. And the Malaysian government was just like, yeah, he did not run over anybody. He didn't kill anybody. He was driving drunk, which yes, is a crime. But is that a deportable crime? And what even is a deportable crime? You were talking in your video about going to anti-government protests, and I've never been to an anti-government protest in Malaysia because there is a stipulation in my visa about how any political activity might lead to deportation. And it's the same here. Like since I moved here, pretty much every week there is a demonstration for Palestine. And a couple of weeks ago, I decided that I wanted to go to one, and I spoke to some friends who are like part of the activist circles, and one of them sent me this document which is kind of like your demo preparation, know your rights kind of thing. Yeah, like deportation is a possibility in there as well, but the thing that like stuck out to me was that if you are convicted for like political action, even for a minor offense, you might not be able to apply for citizenship down the line. I find that very interesting because are you just selecting for a docile citizenry? And is a docile citizenry the best citizenry? Do we want a conformist society? Because here's the thing, I think like living with people, living in a community has to have some sort of like conflict. Like you are not supposed to just get along with people, because any community that is big enough would have conflict. And like part of living in the community is navigating that, is learning how to live with people who transgress, is learning how to like rehabilitate people if needed. And this is also like when I'm thinking about like the relationship between deportation and capital punishment. I know they're not the same thing, but I feel like they are pointing in the same direction, like they're coming from the same place. It's this idea that if someone transgresses, the easiest thing to do is just eliminate them. Whether it's eliminating them by deporting them somewhere or eliminating them by just like, maybe there are situations where this is like the best course of action. But I genuinely believe that we should err on the side of not doing it, because the kind of consequence of doing it is like super, super high. And if some people who are part of the community transgress, it is the community's responsibility to like work together to like reintegrate them in the community, because they have connections to people. If you deport somebody, you are not just punishing them. They are interwoven with other people who are entirely innocent, who you are also punishing for this thing. So like, anyway, today is Eid, and I went for Eid prayers at this mosque in Bedding. And I think it's the most non-mosque looking mosque I've ever prayed Eid in, because it's kind of like in a courtyard of a building. There was like trash cans behind me. But in a way, I was also very heartened because there are so many people of different kinds. Like there are like Turks and Arabs and South Asians and Africans. And I thought maybe the only place you'll see these people all in one place with no group significantly bigger than the other is right here in Europe. And there's something very beautiful about that.